Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session of interviewing a medical student. I'm super excited about this session because I'm actually interviewing a med student that actually succeeded in the residency match. He's a DO, and I'm thrilled to have you here today. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me today.
Dr. Awan, thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor to be on your YouTube channel after watching all of your videos and having your videos helped me throughout the season. So thank you for the opportunity.
Very much appreciate that. Thank you so much, Andrew, for your kind words. And just tell us a little bit about who you are, Andrew. Like, what school did you go to, and how did your interest in radiology sort of begin?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm currently a fourth year medical student who recently matched in the 2021-2022 cycle. Um, I go to Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine, also known as LECOM. And my interest in radiology began actually during my third year of medical school. So I actually went into medical school dead set on one specialty. And then it wasn't until I found radiology during clinical rotations where I started to kind of switch gears a little bit and aim towards diagnostic radiology.
That's cool. That's interesting because even for me, like I stumbled upon radiology as an accident. Like I was taking a fourth year elective and I was doing it just to get like a chill month. And I know like I was going to go into ophthalmology or dermatology. And I was like, whoa, this is awesome. And then I completely changed gears like in July of my fourth year, actually. And I applied to radiology. So I love hearing the paths that different people have. So, and listen, Andrew, you're a DO. We know that, and there's always some stigma about being a DO and going into a competitive specialty like radiology. Did you experience any negative energy, or did people discourage you from applying to radiology because you were a DO?
Yeah, great question. So I certainly think that specific specialties, there is a stigma against DOs, and it does make it a little bit more difficult. But I really think that it's getting better. And I wouldn't call it so much negative energy, just a lot of people keeping me more realistic. My advisors encouraged me to keep my options open, apply broadly, and even they asked me what aspects of radiology appealed to me so that they could recommend even a backup specialty for me to apply to, just in case my first choice didn't work out. So it was just people kind of telling me to keep my options open as a DO and really just wanting what's best for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think that some of the smartest people I know are literally DOs. Like I have colleagues, uh, you know, literally like there's like a chest radiologist that I used to work with at Temple. He's now at Penn. He's literally, I think, the smartest chest radiologist I've ever met. You know what I mean? And they're DOs, and there are tons of amazing DO educators on like Twitter, and I think it's great that the MedED community is seeing all these DO shine and and seeing all the great things that they're doing. And I think I agree with you. I think things are changing, and I think it's not negative energy as you're saying. So kudos to you. I think mentors are always important in one's journey, especially in matching into a radiology residency. Were mentors instrumental in your success in matching to radiology?
Absolutely, 100%. My mentors are the sole reason where I am today. It was at most 49% my own work, and 51% was really the environment that I was put in, the support I had from my mentors, whether that was answering questions I had about the field, giving me research projects, which eventually led to publications, connecting me with their peers and even their mentors, and even people like yourself on YouTube who just gave out free advice out of the goodness of your heart. Everyone was just so instrumental and absolutely a key part of the process.
And we appreciate, Andrew, like all the praise you're giving to your mentors, and rightfully so. I think they play a huge role, but you've obviously done a lot too. You can't get to where you got to without all the hard work, the dedication, and all the great work that you've done. So what do you think was the one thing that you accomplished? If there was one thing that you could pick that you accomplished that was really instrumental in you matching, what's the one thing that you think you did that really allowed you to go over the mountain and match into radiology?
Um, oh wow, that's a good question. And I want to say just having those relationships with my mentors, but to go a little deeper into that, I really think just also providing value to them. If they give you a task, just trying to do it in a timely manner, trying to exceed their expectations. And even if, I made tons of mistakes, countless mountains of mistakes, and just keep trying that. I think they don't really expect you to know anything about radiology really. And the fact that you're out there trying to learn more about the field, trying your best to do a case report or an educational exhibit, that's really all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's great that you said that you made tons of mistakes because obviously no one is perfect. We all make mistakes and we all fall. And I think now it's becoming more accepted to make mistakes and to fail and to kind of get back up. And, I think failure is part of the journey. And I think that you kind of highlighted it very well. Um, I want to come back to the DO issue though, because I think it's something that is dear to my heart. And I think, more people need to understand and have an awareness about DOs. And, I want to talk about why you think there's a stigma with respect to DOs and matching into radiology, because, the majority of people that match into radiology are obviously MDs, but there are a fair amount of DOs that are matching. I think the amount of DOs are increasing, but why do you think there is a stigma between DO and, sort of matching into competitive specialties?
Absolutely. I think some people can point to maybe osteopathic schools having lower requirements for admission. Maybe some DO schools have less resources available for students in terms of research and access to these key mentorships. But at the same time, I really believe if someone wants it bad enough and they can overcome these obstacles, and at the end of the day, oftentimes we're learning the same material, especially for fields like radiology. We're taking USMLE board exams in addition to the complex board exams. And I really think that if someone comes out from a DO school with great board scores, tons of research, basically a competitive application, it shows that nothing's going to stop them from getting what they want. They're the type of person that takes the bull by the horns, carves their own path. Really, nothing's going to stop them from getting in their way. And it's almost like a positive that they came from a DO school, that they got this far despite the lack of resources, the lack of support. So that's really how I saw it.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I think that, DOs, I love the saying where there's a will, there's a way, like if you really, and you hit it, in the nail, like if you really want something badly, it will be in your destiny. You know what I mean? And I think, that's so true for radiology and for DOs. And in some ways, it's harder. DOs are doing more work because they have to do the complex and the USMLE. You know what I mean? So like, I think people forget that, like, they're taking, I took one board exam, but like, you took two board exams. And I think that, kudos to you and kudos to all DOs for kind of doing that. So that's great. I want to also touch base on electives in radiology, and I think that there is a role for doing electives, doing away electives in radiology. Was that part of your journey, Andrew? Did you do any away electives in radiology? And if so, did you pick ones that were DO friendly? And if so, how did you know, or were there any resources that allowed you to know which programs were sort of DO friendly?
Absolutely. And I think you recently released a great video on this a few weeks ago, on how to really shine during these away rotations. But to speak on my personal experience, I believe for my year, they recommended that we limit our addition rotations to one. But if our home institution didn't have a radiology department, you could do an additional one. So I did two total. I was advised to pick one in a new region where I had never lived but was interested in, just to show that I was willing to live there. And then the other one was just where my favorite mentor was, and it was also my hometown. So it was a great way to connect with her and visit family. In terms of finding out which ones were DO friendly, most programs have websites that list their residents, and you can go through and look at their degrees, what school they came from. So that's just really a great way to pick away rotations that are a little more realistic for accepting DOs. But at the same time, don't be afraid to apply to a place that has never taken a DO. You might be surprised.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to do it. Kind of doing some internal, personal investigation into programs and finding out, do they have DOs in their program? I think that goes a long way in telling you and reassuring you that it's definitely a possible reality. Obviously program and PDs look at the holistic appearance of applicants. One thing that we look for is research. Was research a part of your journey, Andrew? Did you do any research? And, if so, or if not, what were some of the things that you did to keep yourself competitive in matching into radiology?
Yeah, great question, Dr. Wan. And I'm not going to lie to you. Before I discovered radiology, I really saw research as another hoop to jump through to get into med school, another thing to boost your CV. But really, to be honest, I really clicked with my mentor, and I found that the projects she was giving me were something I really enjoyed. And she had just a variety of things that kept me on my toes, kept me interested. And it was just a great way to not only learn more about the field of radiology, is this something I really want to do? Or also connect with people, because if I had a question, and she would try her best to answer it, but she'd also connect me with other people in the field that could answer it. So it was a great way to make connections, learn about the field, and of course build a stronger application. So just some of the things I had the opportunity to do was educational exhibits, presentations, abstracts. We got a case report published. We tried writing a grant proposal. That was my first time, and that failed. I got even to design a curriculum. So she was just amazing in the variety of her repertoire that she gave me. And it was awesome just to kind of try new things, different topics. And the cool thing about radiology is that there's so many different fields. So it was never boring for me.
That's awesome, and I love the passion that you're showing in talking about your mentor. It sounds like your mentor, she had a huge impact on you and your success. And speaking about mentors, what was the one thing that she may have told you, or the most influential thing that she told you that really allowed you to be successful, or that really helped you in this match process?
Yeah, so it wasn't anything related to radiology. It was just her constant belief in me. And I could tell it was just genuine. She really was on my side. She really wanted to see me succeed. And there were so many times where I thought I wouldn't make it. I even times where I thought I wouldn't even match. But just her constant support of, Andrew, you can do it, or Andrew, you did such a great job on that project. I really believe you can take it to the next level and maybe even present this, and just her constant support was above and beyond.
That's awesome. No, I think that it often takes just one person to believe in you. You know what I mean? To kind of get you over the hump. Sometimes it's yourself. Sometimes it's just somebody that's gonna kind of pull you up over the mountain. You know what I mean? It's really just that one
Absolutely.
person. Oftentimes that's all it takes, and it's so awesome to hear that story. On a personal note, Andrew, when I met you at AUR in Phoenix, you told me that you were shy. That's something that you volunteered to me, and I think that's interesting because oftentimes, we're told to network with other people. Networking plays a huge role in the match process. And, as a shy person, and by the way, I consider myself shy too, by the way, so I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. But, as a person, did you find it hard to network, or how was it as a shy person that you sort of increase your visibility as an applicant?
Absolutely. I think that's a great question. And just to preface, I'm totally not an extrovert. I'm the type of person where my heart starts racing when I raise my hand to answer a question during class, or I guess these days unmute myself for a Zoom meeting. These kind of things get my heart pumping. But I think one thing that really helped me was something I read about a year ago, and it said something. I might be totally butchering this, but the brain can't really tell the difference between feelings of anxiety and feelings of excitement. So really just switching that perspective, like to give an example, when I saw the Dr. Omar Awan on the escalators, I know that I had to go up and say hi. It wasn't I could either see it as, it wasn't going to be like a life or death situation where if I talked to him, I would die, or I could see it as an exciting opportunity to tell him how much his videos helped me, or how much gratitude I had for him, and show that his videos really did affect someone in real life that benefited greatly from it. So really just shifting that mindset helped me a lot. Also just getting out there and failing a lot of times, where at the point where I kind of just embraced failure really helped too. But yeah, I agree. Networking was a huge role in my application process, and really just getting over that hurdle, that mental hurdle, was huge for me as a shy person.
That's awesome. And, I appreciate you saying that, Andrew. And, on a personal level, despite the fact that I went to AUR, I gave like 4 talks there. The highlight, and believe me when I tell you that the highlight of my AUR was meeting you, Andrew. And like just, even though we had a 2-minute exchange, We literally
Wow.
talked for 2 minutes. The highlight of it was like, you telling me that, this affected you in a positive way. So, and here we are talking about this, for 15, 20 minutes. So this is awesome. You know, I want to talk to you about, the resources that you use. So, what were some of the important resources that you use, either online or books or people that sort of helped you kind of navigate this process in the match?
Absolutely. So there's a guide online. I believe it's called the AMSR Guide to Applying Radiology or something along those lines. You can quickly Google it. And it really just details the whole application process, types of interview questions, all the way from the start, from the first year of medical school, all the way until the match day. So it's really this giant PDF file that has all these questions and answers. And I think that was valuable to me. Um, I think something unique in my application that was brought up in almost every interview was my contribution to a podcast. And this was my mentor's podcast. It's called Let's Read Out. You can find it at letsreadout.com. And she has this segment where you can do a case of the week, and your voice is actually featured on the episode talking about an interesting radiology case. And I really think that's just a hidden gem. Like almost every applicant should sign up and do it. And it's super simple. The instructions are on the website, but it's just a great talking point. Podcasts are a little unique right now, and it's a great talking point for the interviewer. And that's what the interview is all about, just talking points. And it's a great way to show your interest in radiology, and to show that, you're trying to meet new people in the field as well.
Yeah, and then speaking of, the interview process, the interviews were obviously virtual this year as they were the year before. How did you find that experience? I mean, I guess you don't have anything to compare it to, because you didn't really, I mean, I guess you did in-person interviews for medical school, but, how did you find the whole virtual interview experience?
Yeah, obviously, money saved in travel costs is huge. I think costs are saved on both ends, the programs and the applicants with that. So it might be here to stay for a while. But it comes with the cost with people applying to more programs. So I'm not sure if this is sustainable at this rate. You might be better to answer that part, as programs have to sift through more and more apps. But I would say a big tip is, if you have a genuine connection to a program, if there's something really specific you like, I would just add it in your personal statement at the end. And it's just a little way to show programs that, you're not just shotgunning your app everywhere, but you really do have a connection to this program, and it could get brought up during the interview too.
And I think, applying to programs and the number is very important, and I'm sure you got advice from your mentors on, how many programs you should apply to. Did you apply to more programs, or would you mind sharing, maybe how many programs that you ended up applying to for you to sort of be safe?
Yeah, absolutely. So my advisors advised that I apply to 70 programs,
Mm.
at least, and just everywhere in the country. And I actually applied to almost 100. So I took that number and I added 30. And that's just because for peace of mind, I just wanted to be safe. And I always knew that I could turn down interviews if I had too many, which I never did. I went on every interview I could. But yeah, that's how much I applied to.
Awesome, awesome. I think that's helpful for, people to hear. I think people do need to apply broadly, to radiology is competitive, and I think, within reason, obviously, and within, financial constraints, I think, it's important to apply broadly. Um, Andrew, man, anything else you want to add? What would you, if there was one thing you would tell a DO, kind of applying to radiology for the next cycle, you were successful, for the 2023 cycle, what would the one thing you would tell them?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, if I can do it, you can definitely do it. I'm not the person with the highest board scores. I've made so many mistakes. I the amount of PIMP questions I've gotten wrong in clinical rotations is embarrassing. So definitely, all you have to do is just get back up. It's not about your innate talent, or if you're have a photographic memory or a genius. Not at all. You just have to work hard, try your best, and if I can do it, you can definitely do it. So just keep believing in yourself.
That's awesome, man. Words of wisdom from Andrew Wynn. I couldn't say it any better. Andrew, thank you so much for being so generous and sharing your time and your experience to help others out there who will hopefully follow in your footsteps and be successful in the match next year. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course, and thank you for having me. And if anyone wants to ask me questions about my personal story or has anything that they want me to elaborate on, I'd be happy to help. I got so much help that I just want to pay it forward. And you can email me at andrewn0523@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to reply back and help you out.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much, Andrew, for everything.
Thank you for having me.